Welcome to Godcast, real life, real people thriving together. The podcast where faith meets everyday life. I'm Pastor Steve Hassel, the pastor of Thrive Church here in Portsmouth, Virginia, where our vision is helping people thrive in their relationship with each other and with God. Beyond the fire service, Captain Chris Moore's real mission now is focused on mental health, wellness, and suicide prevention in the first responder world. He travels the country speaking to first responders and veterans who deal with this invisible weight and toll that's associated with this kind of service. I've had people ask me forever, Pastor, if I take my own life, am I going to go to hell? And that creates a theological nightmare for a lot of people to try to answer. But God knows. He knows. And I think you're right. When we decide we're in charge, we're taking control, it's up to us, not up to him, we move him out of the equation completely. So how has that affected the way you go around? And you go around the country, you talk to groups, you talk to large conferences. How has knowing the Lord now and really having a real relationship with him, how has that changed how you do that?
Yeah, man, it's awesome. God is awesome.
Yeah.
So when I found God, actually he was lost. I was the one who was lost. But when I let God back into my life, I decided that I needed to continue sharing my story, but I needed to incorporate that aspect of it because I think to me that was it's so personal, but it's such an amazing part of this. So many people, when I was just sharing about the post-traumatic stress and getting therapy and getting help and talking about it, were coming up to me and saying like, me too, that they thought they were all alone, how I felt I was. Well, now that I started incorporating sharing about my faith in there as well, more and more people are coming up and doing the me too. And I'm finding out there are so many people out there, and not just first responders or veterans, but so many people are thirsty for the love of Jesus. But the two things that, what is it we always talk about when we have family gatherings for Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, whatever it may be, or just a cookout in the summertime? Oh, well, we were going over to so-and-so's house. Don't talk about politics or religion. Why? I can understand maybe possibly the political aspect of it right now.
Sure.
But why are we not talking about our faith? We need faith now more than ever. And like I said, I don't believe that we should push it on anybody. I don't think you should push anything on anybody, but it doesn't mean you can't talk about it. So how I started incorporating that and sharing that in there, I've gotten much more positive. Everything's always been positive, but I get a lot more positive and people coming up to me and telling me they really appreciate that I'm sharing that aspect of my life now. And it's really helped them. I've had others tell me that they were afraid to reach out. They were afraid to talk to somebody about their faith. And I tell them I'm sorry. I'm sorry that things are that way, or that they feel things are that way, because I was the me too for that. If somebody would have told me that, I would be like, yeah, me too. I'm afraid to talk about my faith now, but no longer. I'm out of the darkness and out of the shadows, and I'm screaming from the rooftops, the mountaintops, and everything that faith has truly saved me. I think it was a great intervention. I was ashamed that I went through everything that I went through, and that I almost lost my life, and I lost my family. But where I am right now, I've since made amends with my ex-wife and with my son and others that I had hurt and wronged. And I think that's God's grace. And I need to, through God and him dying for our sins and forgiving us, I need to be quick to forgive also.
Oh, absolutely.
And clean up my side of the street. And if others that I talk to don't like certain things or whatever, that's fine because it's not about their side of the street. It's about me and my relationship with God and me cleaning up my side of the street. And it's just been the past 3 years now have been an amazing journey.
And how is the department with you? I know you're going all over the country now. You're speaking at large conferences. You're speaking to gatherings. How does the department? How are they? How do they feel about that? They let you do that? How does that work out?
Yeah, so I represent myself, and I don't represent the Chesapeake Fire Department with my views or anything like that. And I don't say anything that's disparaging about my department or anybody's department. But like I said, I represent myself when I go and do that. I take the time off myself. I have to take shifts off here and there, use my own leave and travel. But I've had members that have seen my podcasts. I've had some members, I had the opportunity last September, to speak at a very large first responders conference here in Norfolk, Virginia. And some members were in attendance. And I've had guys, some of the older, crusty guys in our department, reached out to me and thank me and tell me what a difference them hearing me open up and share things made for them
Sure,
and has helped them.
sure.
We do have in Chesapeake Fire Department, we have a great organization, great command staff. And I know, like I said, I'm doing this on my own, but I'm confident that they got my back.
Yeah.
They're really big and proactive into the mental health and wellness of all of our members. And I think it's a great thing, and I would really love to bring more of this within my agency and other agencies as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely. I know when I met you last Monday, about a week ago now, we've been talking for about 20 minutes, and I ended up sharing with you, not that I thought I had anything to do with PTSD, but a memory from my very first night on the police department that has been with me now. I was thinking that's been 48 years. I don't remember it as much as I used to, but a very traumatic situation for a family, traumatic for me because I responded to it and realized there was nothing that I could do to help this family. They lost their baby in an accident, and but it was one of those things that I remembered, and I would think about it, I would dream about it, I would share it with other people, but from the perspective of, I'm this big tough guy, and this is what I saw, but really talking about it was like, it felt like some kind of release because I didn't know how else to release it. And that was just after knowing you for 15 or 20 minutes. So the guys that you work with, without sharing details, have you had the opportunity where they do come up to you instead of you going up to them, they come up to you and say, Chris, let me tell you about this. Does that happen a lot now?
Yeah, it does. And if you have somebody that puts that belief and that faith in you, that confidence in you, then you have to, or me, I have to be sure that I remain confidential in that. I
I
have
was
to
going to say,
earn
yeah.
their trust, just like as a pastor singing with you guys. Somebody comes to you, and I get so many people that come to me,
Yeah.
and within my organization, but from all across the country. But guys in our department are coming up to me, and like I said, sharing that, and it is a weight when you have somebody, you have a safe person that you can share
Sure.
these details with of what you're feeling, what you're struggling with, and your whole thought process. It is like a weight off of their shoulders because I knew firsthand when I did it, there was a weight off of my shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to really take the ball and run with that and then build on all of this, these relationships, these peer support teams or behavioral health teams that we have popping up within the region and with the different departments, and just really get the word out there. But like I said, the main thing you need for any of those is that trust and that confidentiality.
Okay.
Because all it takes is if one person came to me and shared something, or came to anybody, and then it gets leaked out. It's like, oh, you wouldn't believe that Captain Moore, he's really struggling with this out there.
Oh, yeah.
Then they're done before they even get started.
And you're a captain, so you are management. And if a firefighter comes to you, he's going to management. And I'm sure there's some policy that says if they say certain things, you have to report it upline, which makes it even scarier to come to somebody like you. But the fact that you're so open and you're so honest with your own life, that has changed. And we were talking earlier this afternoon about the stresses that are put on first responders, especially firefighters. And by the way, we have this joke that we're the first responders.
Yeah.
And we always go in to make the scene safe for you. So you're the second responders, but we're all first responders. But the fact that we add stress to them because of the schedules they have to keep. Tell me about your schedule. That was blowing me away a little while ago. And I imagine that's pretty much the way it is around the country for fire departments.
Yeah, there's all sorts of varying different schedules for firefighters across the country. But in this region here, we predominantly, I think most of them in the Hampton Roads area are kind of on our schedule now, where it's a 21-day cycle. They're 24-hour shifts. It starts on a Tuesday, so you do every other day for a week. So it's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Monday. Then you're off for 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You come back and you work Friday, and then you work Sunday. Then you're off for 2 days. You work Wednesday, then you're on a 5-day break.
You have to keep a calendar to know this, right?
And that 5-day break will bring you back to a Tuesday.
Okay.
And it starts over again.
But the problem is you don't get rest when you're working that 24-hour shift.
Yeah. It's most of the firehouses all across the region here, regardless of what city you're in, you're going to be pretty busy throughout that 24-hour shift.
And your adrenaline pumps and you come back and they expect you to go right back to sleep, and that doesn't work.
In the evening time, when you do get a chance to lay down in your bunk room and lay your head down, and if you are fortunate enough to fall asleep, when those tones go off, we do have softer, gentler tones now that wake you up, but it's not like your spouse or significant other or somebody just kind of nudging on you, say, hey, wake up. Mm-hmm. It's the tones go off and you go from 0 to 1,000 miles per hour, and you got to be just as sharp at 2 a.m. as you were at 2 p.m. and to get out there and get on the rig and go out the door and serve the public and do whatever it is, a fire or an EMS call.
But you get every other day off. What did you say about that?
You're using that every other day to recover. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the guys don't have the opportunity to use that to recover because we joked earlier, a lot of the guys are doing landscaping, construction, plumbing, electrical, whatever it is. Most first responders, a lot of us have other jobs, or you're a family person, and not that you can't be both, but you got a honey-do list when you go home that you got to take care of, or you're tagging your wife so she can go out the door and go to work, and you got the kids. So it's not like you get off after a 24-hour shift and you're going home, you're going to bed, or you're going to focus on your mental health. So it seems like it's always something. And I know people in outside of the first responder community.
Yeah.
They have the same issues and things just like that too. So this isn't a woe is me as a first responder or anything like that. Like
it just adds to the stress, though.
Yeah, it does.
It does. So tell me, now that you have a home church, you went. In fact, we're doing this on a Sunday afternoon because I was in church preaching this morning, and you were in church. How has having a church community, how's that helped you, having that church family, and what do you do with them?
So church community, I think, is very important. I'm not super active outside of my Sundays with my church, not just yet. Our church is very active within the Hampton Roads community and does a lot of extracurricular stuff. Mm-hmm. My wife and I now, we haven't joined any small groups or anything just yet. They do at my church. I know many across the region do Celebrate Recovery. Mm-hmm. I did participate for quite a while in Celebrate Recovery, and then just had to, I just got to the point for me where I just stepped out and just started doing more. And now my recovery is going great. Mm-hmm. Even after stepping outside, and I think that is an awesome program, the Celebrate Recovery program.
Sure.
But just within my church and organization, we do have a couple people that we talk to. But my big thing with me, it can come from the church or it can come from within, It's just a matter of growing my faith. Prior to my suicide attempt and finding my faith a month and a day later, or restoring my faith, I had a huge circle of friends or people I thought were friends. And since then, I've learned that not all of them were my friends. Like I said, my circle was this big. My happiness was probably only about this big
Yeah.
at that time. Since then, and when I found Jesus on that Easter Sunday, my circle has since become this small, but my happiness has become this big.
That's good. That's
Yeah,
very good.
and I think it's a matter of just needing having safe people surrounded by you, and it doesn't have to be a lot of. I got probably about half a dozen people that I think are safe people that I can talk to and I can confide in about anything.
And safe means?
Safe means that they're not going to go. I talk to Pastor Steve, and Pastor Steve goes and talks to someone who talks to someone, talks to someone.
Right.
It's somebody that I am comfortable with, that I can share anything with. If I'm hurting, I'm struggling with my marriage, my finances, my faith, whatever it may be. I saw a bad call. I can come to you and just share it. There's no judgment. There's no shame. There's no guilt. There's no denial. It's just two safe people having a safe conversation.
Yeah.
And we talk about, you hear there's the saying, it takes a tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in essence, it does, but my tribe is very small. And I am always open and welcome people to make it bigger.
Mm-hmm.
But you gotta meet my criteria. I'm not excluding people or anything like that.
I think first responders, again, we are really, really careful about who we trust.
Yeah.
And, in the police department, they talk about the thin blue line, which is, it's a reality. And I know when I was a police officer, all my friends were police officers. My wife was a dispatcher, but you have this closed circle because, again, I think it's trying to cope. Again, you're hanging out with people who understand what it is you do and know the stresses you're under, and you feel more comfortable with those people than you do with other people. And I guess they have a thin red line also, more than likely, where most of your friends were firefighters. But it's really good that you're establishing a group of friends who are like-minded in terms of their walk with the Lord, your church community. And I think that's always important. I want to ask you one more question. I want you to, I did not write this question, but I like it. Share one thing you've learned about God's love or faithfulness through this journey.
Great question.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful question.
It is.
Oh, I've learned so much. And how we're just talking about confidentiality and everything. I was in Phoenix a year ago for a conference, and let's actually rewind. When I started doing my speaking engagements, it was 2000. It was actually before my suicide attempt. I started going around talking about post-traumatic stress. It was 2020.
Okay.
And I was toying around with the idea then about putting my personal cell phone number out on any of my social media posts, and at the conferences, just put it up on the screen behind me, just give it out to anybody, just blast it out there, and let people know that I give the disclaimer. I'm not a doctor, not a therapist or anything like that. I'm just a fellow first responder with lived experiences. And my tagline that I use, if you want to look at it as a tagline, but I will always listen. God gave us two of these and one of these.
Mm-hmm.
So use a little less of this and a little more of those ears, and listen. Sometimes people just need to be heard. Mm-hmm. And when you let them get their feelings, their emotions, their hurts out, they don't always need the answer. Sometimes they just feel better by getting that stuff out. Well, I knew when I started doing that, my family and friends told me, no, you don't need to be doing that. Don't put your personal number out there. And I know how first responders are, that somebody's going to get my number and they're going to prank call me or whatever it may be. 5 years later, and I had zero prank calls. Don't start now. But no, I knew, and back to answering the question here, I knew one day a moment would come when somebody was truly struggling. I've had, to date right now, I've had almost 2,500 people in 5 years reach out and call me. Not all of them are struggling or anything like that. Some people are, but some are just calling to ask me some questions about my faith, about setting up peer support teams, whatever. I had a conference in Phoenix last year. I flew in the day before the conference. We had a nor'easter off the coast here. I had to fly from here to Baltimore and then Baltimore to Phoenix. Um, my luggage was just a soft suitcase. Well, with the nor'easter, I had had a few hour layover in Baltimore. I think my luggage stayed outside the whole time during that layover and just got rained on.
Mm-hmm.
But I arrived in Phoenix. The bags are coming off. Mine comes off, and it's like a soup sandwich. It's just saturated. Get to the hotel, and there was no dry cleaner or anybody they didn't have laundry service there. So I'm up all that night, the night before, just had a blow dryer, blow drying my clothes. So I got one outfit. I wasn't presenting that day. I was presenting the very next day. So I got outfit good enough to wear to go to the conference the next day. Went there, sat in on a lot of stuff. The next day, or actually that evening, they invited me. The conference wanted to take me out to dinner. And I was like, yeah, I really appreciate it, but I'm going to have to turn that down. I told them about my clothes. I had to get all that situated when I was going to speak in. So get back to the hotel. I'm like blow drying my sport coat, my dress shirt, and just getting everything ready. Finally got that where it was going to be good enough. I was like, all right, I am going to bed early. It was probably about 7 o'clock in the evening now, so super early. I was still on East Coast time, so it was at like 8 or 9 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody called me. My phone rang, and it was somebody who was struggling.
Mm.
And this was the one that I knew was always going to be coming that I hadn't had. This was somebody who was going to take their life. They told me that that's what they were going to do right then and there, and they were getting ready to do it. So I just instantly, my instincts as a first responder kicked in, but my faith, more importantly, kicked in. I did some of the right things also, like the first responder. Asked them about the means to do it, asked them to where they were at, and I'm like putting my cell phone on hold, and I'm using the hotel's phone, and like I'm calling up the area code where they were, like had searched it on my phone and found out. So I called up a police department up there. I was like, hey, I don't know what's going on, but meanwhile, the other person's like still talking to me, but I passed that on, got authorities headed that direction. But I ended up testifying with that person, and I gave my testimonial to this young lady, and who had been through a lot.
Wow.
She was a first responder and diagnosed with post-traumatic stress. And so she could relate to me on that. And her and I had some other conversations prior to where she had reached out to me, but she was at her wit's end. And it just, I didn't preach to her, but I shared a lot about the similarities in both of our lives, and how I was in her seat a year or 2 years earlier, and where I'm at right now. And I was like, it doesn't have to be this way. I was like, there's so much more that you have to give and to do and to live for. And I started getting that a different reaction, a more positive reaction from her. And I talked to her about giving the pen back. And the conversation, she ended up, it took a much better turn. She was still in a bad state. She had to jump off the phone quick, and I couldn't get her back on the line. I did get a phone call afterwards from the dispatch center because I asked the dispatcher, I was like, hey, I know you guys can't disclose a whole lot of information or anything. This is when I made the initial phone call when I was talking to them. So I had her on the phone. I'm like working 2 phone lines at once, had her on mute, so she didn't know what was up. But I had asked the dispatcher if there was any way that they could let me know when they make contact with her. And the dispatcher did call me and said, hey, they located her, they made contact.
Good.
And that's all we can give you. It's like, all right. It was a month later that young lady called me up and she thanked me. She apologized for putting me what she put me through that night. And I was like, oh, there was no need to apologize. With God's grace, if she didn't reach out and make that phone call, she might not be here.
Wow.
So me going through and stressing out over what was going on, not knowing if I was gonna hear. I mean, we've been on calls where we've seen people lose their lives and all that.
Sure.
But I'm just over the phone. I felt like I guess a dispatcher, what our dispatchers go through, hearing all this stuff and being kind of helpless. But for her to call me just over a month later and thank me, and I attribute that to my faith. Being able to share what I went through and then give my testimony to her, where that could relate better to her and everything. That's something there's a lot of things in my life that I've done that I'm not proud of. But that's one of the things. And almost 2,500 of my phone calls that I've gotten, I'm proud of all of them. But in that moment, and where she was at her lowest, where I was 2 years earlier, and it was almost 2 years to the date of mine. It was just shy. It was 2 weeks shy.
Wow.
I think exactly 2 years of me about to take my life.
Well, we say around here that the church is a hospital for the hurting. And I tell our folks all the time that God doesn't waste a hurt, that we go through stuff, and we go through stuff to learn what he's trying to teach us. And if we don't learn it, we'll go through it again. But once we get to the place where he's taught us what it is he wants us to know, then he's going to put us in a situation where we have to explain that. And so I tell our folks around here a lot of times, you might be struggling with an addiction. You might be struggling with a relationship issue. Maybe it's financial. Maybe it's PTSD. Maybe it's your job. Whatever it is, and God's going to get you through that. But once he didn't take you through that just to take you through it, you're going to find yourself sitting across the table from somebody who is going through the exact same thing. And the neat thing is you can say, I've been where you are. And God is bigger than that. And there is light at the end of that's not just a cliche. There's light at the end of the tunnel if you let God in.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important. Chris, I have enjoyed having you here today. I really have. Do you have anything you want to push or let anybody know about as we close?
No, just like I just shared in that story there about putting my phone number out there. So you guys feel free to put my number out there to anybody, most notably first responders and veterans, but I'm not going to turn anybody away.
Absolutely.
It's like our Lord wouldn't turn anybody away, never does, never has, never will. I will always listen. I think it's important, just like you alluded to. I think the healing comes through the hurt.
It does.
You got to embrace the hurt and embrace the pain to get through the other end and to heal. And I believe that. And I think I know I am. I'm 100% open, honest, and transparent, where I share my story and I share experiences with somebody. And I came up with a mental wellness plan for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no shame in my game, and there shouldn't be any shame in anybody else's game out there with getting therapy.
Sure.
Therapy, heck, this is therapy for me right now, sitting here having a conversation with you. Mm-hmm. But an analogy, real quick. I know we're trying to wrap it up, but analogy I like to use when it comes to therapy is therapists, and we can actually use this probably with churches. It's like a pair of shoes. they're not one size fits all. If I go to a therapist and I sit down with my therapist and the very first meeting and I walk out there, I was like, oh, I wasn't comfortable. It goes back to that safe person. I didn't feel safe, didn't feel comfortable. If I can't be that open and honest and transparent person and share everything with a therapist whose job is to help fix me and get me back on track,
Sure.
then they're not going to be able to fix me. So if they're like a pair of shoes, am I just going to say, you know what, that's it? I'm going to walk around barefoot anymore. No, I'm going to go try and find that pair of shoes that fits for me. I'm going to go find another therapist. I'm going to go find another church that works better for me, where I'm more comfortable to open up and to worship or whatever it may be. So if you're somebody out there is on the edge thinking about therapy or whatever, go for it. It could take quite a while to find that right fit.
Sure.
And like I said, same thing with churches. Give church a try. If you've had bad experiences at churches before, or family members, or whatever it may be, open up your heart and give it another try. Give it another shot. Give it a lot more shots. Find that fit for you, because there are plenty of the right fits out there. You just got to find the right one. And then there's different modalities in therapy that they can do that can really help you out. One of the big ones that I found and that's benefited me tremendously is called EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization reprocessing. And I dumb it down for dumb firemen like me, because guys see that and they think that they're like being brainwashed or whatnot. And it's just totally not the case. And I just urge everybody out there, go out, explore your faith, find therapy, find a church, and don't be afraid to share it with others. Like I said, I think when you find these things and all, open up to share it with other people. I mean, imagine if we had didn't have churches to share the love of Jesus and faith and everything, where we would be. So just heal out loud.
Heal out. Oh, I like that. Heal out loud. We were talking this morning in church. I was preaching in a series that we're doing here called Echo, and we were talking about character this morning. And one of the things that I said to the church, and they seem to agree, is that we find we're more comfortable around people of character, good character, and we can sense it. We almost feel at ease with them because there's nothing phony. They are genuine. You can tell after just a little time that they're people of integrity. I would encourage, find somebody that you could say is that kind of person, a person of integrity, a person of good character, where you can be at ease, because that's what we need to be. I think that's the beginning of the healing. We're never going to heal if the walls stay up, that's for sure. And I can relate to that, because my walls were up for years and years and years, and to some extent they still are up. I think that's just something we live with as first responders. I tell people God had a sense of humor, because I was a cop for 25 years, and then he called me into the ministry, and that's a dichotomy. I'm telling you, it is. But I get this, but I've enjoyed this, Chris. I really have. Like I said, I've only known you a week. I feel like I've known you for years. And I think you've got some great things that are going on with you. And please, if there's conferences you're going to be at, let us know so we can put it out there. And I'm assuming that we will have your number up on screen at some point. And if you are struggling, I encourage you. I knew Chris 20 minutes, and I was telling him secrets of my life that I haven't told a lot of people. So if you need something like this, if you're saying, I need to talk to somebody, I need to get this out, pick up the phone and call Chris. Why don't you be his 2,501st phone call? And I'm sure that you'll answer the phone, and we're going to trust God that it's all going to work together. But I really have enjoyed this. Thank you so much for spending time on your day off from the firehouse to be here with us today at Thrive. Make sure that you join us on our next episode of Godcast, Real Life, Real People Thriving Together. We hope today's episode has been encouraging and inspired you. If so, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with somebody who needs to hear it. You can also connect with us at mythrive.church to stay updated on upcoming episodes. But until next time, keep thriving in faith, keep sharing your story, and keep trusting God in all things.